Okay, so as you can tell, it is the middle of winter here in northern Michigan, and people often associate this time of year with being really sad and dark and dreary. Like people say you can't go outside, it's harder to exercise because it's all snowy, you have to get all suited up to go outside. But I'm going to show you a great way to be active when it's wintertime, and that is Nordic skiing. So the first thing I need to tell you about Nordic skiing, and the only thing I'm going to be talking about in this video really, because there is so much to learn with the technique, I'm just going to talk about how to put on your skis, which you'd think would be a really simple process, but there's really a lot that goes into it. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you about this is that there are two different types of bindings. So bindings are this part of the ski right here that your foot or your boot attaches to. So the first kind of binding, and the less common kind of binding, it's more old-fashioned, is called the S&S binding, which is the binding you'll see here. So there's one raised ridge that goes along the middle of the ski, which matches up with the style of boot that I have on right now. Has that ridge that lines up with the ski. So S&S, which means Solomon Nordic System. So this is an older style of binding. And then over here I have what's called the NNN binding. So it's got two of these thinner little ridges that go along the binding that match up with these boots here that are a little covered in snow. But you can see that those ridges line up with this boot here. So these two boots are not compatible with the same bindings. You need to have the right type of binding. So, and the NNN stands for New Nordic Norm. So that's the more commonly used type of binding. So, okay, so getting into your skis. I'm going to do this on my S&S bindings. So, first thing to note is the snow. So right now, the snow was really bad for this because it is super fluffy, and it's really wet. So as you can see on the bottom of my boots, come a little closer, there's snow all stuck up in my bindings. And that is not good because there's this little bar right here at the tip of my boot that clips in to the binding at the top. And if it's packed full of snow, you can't really clip in. So a good way to get this snow out, this is my favorite method. You can use your poles, but it's better to do it this way, is just take your foot on the binding. I'll come a little further. And you just tap it on the binding. And then you can just press in. And then you're all connected to the ski. And that would be the same way that you would click in to the NNN bindings. And then another important thing to note is where you are putting your skis on. So right now I'm on a really level flat ground, it's even. So an example of a bad place to put your skis on would be like this hill behind me. If you tried to put your skis on at the top of this hill and you're facing down the hill, you would just slide right down the hill. So when you're putting your skis on, you need to make sure you're on a really level surface, so then you don't slide around all over the place. Kick your snow out of your binding. You make sure that bar is all clear, and then you can click right in and you are ready to go. So I went over the different types of bindings there are and how that can impact what kind of skis or boots you're using, because they're not both compatible with each other. And I talked about how things that can affect how you get into your skis, like the snow can make that really difficult, and also the pitch of where you're at are important things to note. So now that you know how to put your skis on, go maybe watch a YouTube video about how to do Nordic skiing, or maybe find a class that you could take would be the best option. So then you can go out and enjoy this beautiful winter weather.